Last November, I landed in Chicago 4.5 hours late on a flight from Frankfurt. Lufthansa. The delay started with a maintenance check that pushed boarding by 90 minutes. Then a slot reassignment added another 2 hours. When we finally landed, nobody at the gate said a word about compensation. No announcement, no email, no apology card. Just a, "Have a nice evening," and the sound of 300 people walking toward baggage claim with no idea that the airline owed every single one of them 600 euros. I found out 3 weeks later from a flight dispatcher I met at a bar in Denver. He had spent 15 years routing aircraft across the Atlantic. When I told him about the Lufthansa delay, he put his drink down and said, "You are owed 600 euros and you have 3 years to claim it." Then he told me the sentence that changed how I deal with every delay since. But first, the law, because most Americans have no idea this exists. EU 261 is a European regulation that requires airlines to pay passengers fixed cash compensation when flights are significantly delayed, canceled, or overbooked. Not vouchers, not miles, not lounge access. Cash, wired to your bank account. The amounts are fixed by distance. 250 euros for flights under 1,500 kilometers. 400 euros for flights between 1,500 and 3,500 kilometers. 600 euros for anything over 3,500 kilometers. Chicago to Frankfurt is over 6,700 kilometers. 600 euros. Roughly $700 at today's rate. Here is what makes this powerful for Americans. The law applies to every flight departing from any airport in the European Union, regardless of the airline. Fly Delta from Paris, United from Amsterdam, American from Frankfurt, Norwegian from Barcelona. If the flight left from EU soil and arrived more than 3 hours late, you are covered. It also applies to flights arriving in the EU on European carriers. Fly Lufthansa from Chicago to Munich, covered. Fly British Airways from JFK to London, covered. The law does not care about your passport. It cares about the route and the airline. Now, the part airlines do not want you to think about. They know about this law.
And your final
Every
destination
gate
is
agent
Frankfurt,
knows.
correct?
Every dispatcher knows. Every customer service representative knows. But airline policy in almost every carrier is to never proactively inform passengers of their right to compensation. A former customer service manager at a major European airline told me they were explicitly trained to offer meal vouchers, rebooking, and lounge access first. If the passenger accepted any of those without asking about EU 261, the conversation ended there. The airline saved 600 euros per passenger. On a flight with 200 eligible passengers, that is 120,000 euros saved by saying nothing. This is where the dispatcher's sentence comes in. He said when you are at the gate and the delay crosses 3 hours, walk to the counter and say exactly this: "I would like to file a compensation claim under EU Regulation 261/2004 for this delay." That sentence does 3 things. It tells the agent you know the law exists. It tells them you know the regulation number. And it signals that you will not accept a voucher. He said in his experience, passengers who use that sentence get processed. Passengers who say, "My flight was delayed. What can you do?" get a meal coupon and a smile. The gate agent will not hand you cash on the spot. What happens next is a form, sometimes paper, sometimes digital, sometimes just a reference number and an email address. You file the claim with the airline directly. They have 7 weeks to respond under EU guidelines. Most major airlines have an online claims portal buried 3 levels deep in their website. You fill in your flight number, date, booking reference, and a short description. Then you wait. And here is where it gets interesting. Airlines reject claims. Often. The most common rejection is extraordinary circumstances. Under the law, airlines do not have to pay if the delay was caused by something outside their control. A volcanic eruption, a security threat, severe weather that grounded all flights, not just yours. These are legitimate exemptions. But airlines stretch the definition. A technical fault is not an extraordinary circumstance. A crew scheduling error is not an extraordinary circumstance. A mechanical issue discovered during a pre-flight check is not an extraordinary circumstance. These are operational problems, and the law says the airline pays for operational problems. The dispatcher told me a simple test. If the delay happened because of something inside the airline system, crew, aircraft, maintenance, scheduling, it is compensable. If it happened because of something outside the system, weather, air traffic control restriction, airport closure, it is not. He said airlines deliberately blur this line. They tell passengers the delay was due to circumstances beyond our control when it was actually a part that needed replacing. That phrase is not a legal category. It is a deflection. If your claim gets rejected and you believe the reason was operational, you have options. In most EU countries, there is a national enforcement body that handles complaints. In Germany, it is the Federal Aviation Authority. In the UK, it is the Civil Aviation Authority. In France, it is the Direction Générale de l'Aviation Civile. You file a complaint with them and they investigate. It costs you nothing. The airline takes it seriously because these bodies can impose fines. The other option is a claims service. Companies like AirHelp, FlightRight, and Claim Compass handle the entire process for you. They file the claim, handle the rejections, escalate to enforcement bodies or courts, and take a cut of 25 to 35% if they win. If they lose, you pay nothing. For a €600 claim, you would receive roughly 400 to 450 euros after their fee. The trade-off is convenience versus cost. If you are comfortable filing yourself and following up for 7 to 12 weeks, keep the full amount. If you want someone else to deal with the airline's legal team, the service earns its cut. One detail most people miss. You can claim retroactively. The law allows claims for flights that were delayed up to 3 years ago. If you flew from Europe in the last 3 years and experienced a delay of 3 hours or more, check your records. Dig through old booking confirmations. That 4-hour delay on your vacation flight 2 summers ago might be worth €600 sitting in your email archive right now. I filed 2 claims after talking to the dispatcher. The Lufthansa Frankfurt to Chicago delay. €600 paid in 11 weeks. A KLM Amsterdam to Minneapolis delay from 8 months earlier that I had completely forgotten about. €400 paid in 9 weeks. Total recovered, €1,000, roughly $1,100. From 2 flights I had already written off as bad luck. Airlines are not breaking the law by not telling you. There is no legal requirement to proactively inform passengers about EU 261, but the system is designed so that the money flows only to people who ask. The airline's incentive is silence. Your advantage is knowing the sentence, knowing the law, and knowing that technical means you get paid and weather means you do not. One law, one sentence, one form. That is all it takes. And every delayed flight from Europe is either money in your pocket or a lesson in asking the right question.